Hello friends, and welcome back to AutoFix Zone. In today's video, we're going to talk about a very small electrical component that can cause a major drivability issue. In fact, around 80% of mechanics overlook it, which often leads them to replace the fuel pump multiple times, even though the pump itself is perfectly fine. The star of today's video is the fuel pump relay. We'll cover the symptoms of a failing fuel pump relay, how to test it properly, and how to correctly identify the fault before replacing expensive parts. Fuel pump relay location. The fuel pump relay is usually located in the front fuse and relay box, under the hood. You can easily identify its position by referring to the fuse box diagram, which is typically printed on the inside or outside of the fuse box cover. It will be labeled as fuel pump relay. Now let's move on to the symptoms of a failing fuel pump relay and how to avoid replacing a fuel pump that isn't actually faulty. 1. No fuel pump sound when turning the key on. Normally, after the vehicle has sitting for a while, fuel pressure drops in the fuel rail. To restore pressure and ensure quick starting, the ECU activates the fuel pump as soon as you turn the ignition key to the on position, before cranking the engine. This is why you typically hear a fuel pump priming sound for about 3 to 5 seconds. If you turn the key on and don't hear the fuel pump and the engine fails to start, the issue could be a faulty fuel pump relay, a blown fuel fuse, a wiring or connector issue, or the fuel pump itself. To confirm whether the relay is the problem, do the following. Temporarily swap the fuel pump relay with another relay of the same shape and electrical rating, but from a non-critical circuit, such as headlights or power windows. If the engine starts, the fuel pump relay is faulty. If nothing changes, the relay is good and the issue lies elsewhere, the fuse, the wiring, or the pump. 2. Check engine light illuminated. When the fuel pump relay fails, the check engine light usually doesn't point directly to the relay itself. Instead, you'll often see fault codes such as P0230 or P0231 with a description like fuel system issues. These codes indicate a problem within the fuel delivery system, which typically narrows the fault down to the fuel pump or the fuel pump relay. In many cases, the relay is the actual cause. Swapping it with a known good relay, as mentioned earlier, is the fastest way to confirm the diagnosis. 3. Sudden engine stall while driving. This is one of the most misdiagnosed scenarios. If the engine suddenly stalls while driving and you no longer hear the fuel pump when turning the key on, the engine won't restart. But after the vehicle cools down, it starts normally again. Many technicians immediately assume the fuel pump overheated and failed, and they replace it. However, during the repair process, the fuel pump relay cools down, so when the new pump is installed, the engine starts, leading them to believe the problem is fixed. In reality, the relay may stop conducting when hot and resume normal operation once it cools down. That's why the next time you experience this issue, test the fuel pump relay before replacing the pump. It could save you a lot of unnecessary repairs. 4. Engine cranks but does not start. If the starter motor cranks the engine normally, the crankshaft sensor is confirmed to be working, but no fuel is delivered from the fuel pump, the problem is within the fuel delivery circuit. If the fuel pump fuse is intact, the issue is likely a faulty fuel pump or a faulty fuel pump relay. Again, the simplest test is to swap the relay with an identical one and recheck engine operation. 5. Repeated fuel pump fuse failure. Repeatedly blowing the fuel pump fuse usually points to a faulty fuel pump, which is common. However, in some cases, the real cause is a faulty fuel pump relay that rapidly opens and closes the circuit. This rapid cycling can be heard as a fast clicking noise from the relay, overload the circuit, and eventually blow the fuel pump fuse. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos. You are watching Auto Fix Zone. See you in the next video.